First, it's important to define what a witness actually is. A witness is a person who is required to come to court and testify about the facts and events pertinent to the case at hand. In mock trial, there are two kinds of witnesses. The first witness is a lay witness, and this is an individual who has direct experience with the case at hand. For example, they could have been a victim in the case, they could be the accused, or they could be a bystander who witnessed something happen. Second, there is an expert witness. Expert witnesses are not directly involved in the case, but they do provide important information that can help the judge and or jury come to a conclusion. An expert witness can typically be found from a field such as forensics and or psychology. Expert and lay witnesses serve very different purposes, so it's important to understand the distinction between the two when you're playing your role. Now let's move to discuss to see what a witness should do during a direct examination. Both a lay and expert witness in a direct examination should give detailed and precise answers. It's best to avoid giving very brief and short answers, as this won't help to build up your case theory. At the same time, it's also important to not embellish your responses. Exaggerations and overgeneralizations will make your testimony appear less accurate and reliable, so it's important to stick to the information you have in the affidavit. It's also important to try and explain any unfavorable information you have regarding your witness's character and or actions. For example, if one of your witnesses held a criminal record in the past, explain why that's not a reflection of that person's character now, and how they've changed and how they are a credible witness. Now let's move to discuss what witnesses should do in a cross-examination. It's important to try your best to avoid giving very simple yes or no responses. You don't want to just give in to opposing counsel's request. It's important to try and make it difficult whenever possible. So think to yourself when you're answering a question, yes, but, no, but, try to continue what you're saying whenever possible. Opposing counsel will always try to phrase their questions in a way that elicits a short and clear response, so push back in moderation. With practice, you will figure out when it's appropriate to do so and when it's not. However, you want to avoid becoming a hostile witness. A witness like this is someone who avoids answering basic questions and is simply wasting the court's time with overly exaggerated long responses. If opposing counsel asks you a simple question in your cross-examination, such as where were you the night in which the murder took place, for example, you can simply state where. It wouldn't be appropriate in this instance to give a long-winded answer. It's important to pick up on the cues of the question and what the counsel is saying in order to figure out when you can actually talk more in your responses, because it isn't always appropriate or the most effective strategy. This will come easier with more and more practice and the more comfortable you get with mock trial. Lastly, I want to discuss the characterization of witnesses. Characterization involves anything such as accents, mannerisms, or gestures. This should be only used to enhance the portrayal of your witness, but it should not be the center of your performance. Overly dramatic crying, yelling, or acting will make it difficult to focus on what you're saying, so I suggest avoiding these. Remember, a witness is here to provide testimony and evidence. Even though you're playing a character, your first and most important role is the information that you provide. When thinking about characterization, I first encourage people to think about how this witness would act in real life. How might they talk? How might they speak? Just general qualities about their character. And second, how might this witness act in a courtroom? So, although everyone has their very own distinct, unique personalities, it's significantly toned down in a courtroom because it is such a formal setting. So, it's important to keep that in mind. Whoever you're playing is an individual who's in a very serious circumstance. It isn't just an everyday experience, so keep that in mind when you're preparing.